book is written in a genre called apocalyptic literature, and it actually was fairly common in the third, second, first century BC and first century AD when Jesus was walking the earth. There was a lot of this apocalyptic literature, and what it is, it's an intensified form of prophetic literature. So we're all familiar with the prophets. In the old prophets like Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Jeremiah, they have expressions of apocalyptic literature, and it's usually you're reading it when like stars are falling out of the sky and like blood is shooting out of the moon and like all this imagery that isn't real. It's imagery that you'd never see in real life, but it's depicting like great acts of judgment, great acts of God pouring out wrath and indignation on a nation, on a people, or something to that effect. And so it's this entirely intensified imagery to try and convey a point about something God's going to do. It's not that the moon is literally going to turn to blood. It's that God is going to come and judge Babylon, so on and so forth. And so what we're reading here is a book of symbols. It's a book where the goal is not to try and discern like what the exact symbol like is, like reading the symbols literally. The meaning is behind the symbol. The symbol represents something. So like, for instance, if I was to talk with you guys about like the donkey and the elephant, you'd know more or less what I meant. I mean, Democrat, Republican, right? But imagine being 2,000 years removed from someone saying that, a donkey and an elephant, and you'd be like, well, like what were donkeys like, an elephant? And really, that's not the point at all. The point is I'm talking about something that they symbolize. And so as we're reading the book, especially in the beginning, a lot of these symbols will occur. So like in chapter 1, we've seen lampstands and stars, and the book will just straight up tell you what they are. Lampstands are churches, stars are messengers to the churches or angels. And so you want to be sensitive to that as you're reading the book. A lot of times it will interpret itself. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it borrows just directly from Old Testament imagery, and we have to do the hard work of figuring out what that is, and I'm going to help you guys with that as we go through. So that's the kind of literature we're looking at. We don't want to get hyper literal about the symbols. We're looking for what the symbols represent. So that being said, what I think the book of Revelation is describing is what the world is going to be like from the day John delivers this letter until the end of the world. It's not focusing so much, I don't think, on the last 7 years of the world's existence or something like that. It's focusing on the whole range of the church's life until Jesus finally returns. And the way that this is going to work out is we're going to watch the history of the world unfold from 7 perspectives. We're going to start with this epilogue in the beginning. Then we're going to move to an address to these 7 churches in Asia Minor. And then we're going to be confronted with a vision of heaven and the God of glory who reigns there. And then there's going to be 7 successive judgments. There's going to be 7 trumpets, 7 bowls, and 7 seals. First 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls. And you'll find that as we're going through, we see the same basic storyline unraveling over and over again. And right as you get to the very end, Jesus comes again in judgment, like at the 6th, right before the 6th seal. Then the thing starts over again. And we start the successive 7s again. And we'll watch that play itself out as we go through. And then it ends with the consummation of the kingdom. Jesus finally returns, judges the living and the dead, and ushers in the new creation. And as we go through these successive stories, we meet these various characters that are going to assault the church throughout the history of its life. We're going to meet the beast, who says, worship me or I'll kill you. And then we're going to meet the false prophet, who says, worship the beast, and then gives you all kinds of signs and deceptive messages to try and deceive you into worshiping the beast. We don't encounter those 2 characters as much in our culture. We encounter the 3rd character the most, which is the whore, Babylon, who has this gold chalice in her right hand that's full of like sexual temptation and the lust of immorality and materialism. And her goal, she doesn't threaten you with death. She doesn't try to deceive you. Her goal is to woo you away from Jesus. To get you to taste of her pleasures and not remain chaste for the Lord Jesus Christ. And so there's this unholy trinity and then a holy trinity. And it's not the holy trinity in systematic theology. There's the Father, the Son, and this beautiful bride. Just like there's the beast, the false prophet, and his whore girlfriend. And so the contrast is going to be these 2 people, these 2 groups, and it's going to show us their coming destinies. And the Apostle John is going to constantly stop and look at you from the book of Revelation and go like, this is what it means to persevere. Like, you remain faithful to Jesus even if it means it costs you your life. You remain faithful to Jesus even if everyone around you is telling you he's a liar. You remain faithful to Jesus, chaste, even when everyone else is having sex with a harlot, is loving the city of Babylon. And we have to take do the hard work to look at all that. But where we're at is the very beginning. We have John on Patmos. It's 95 AD. He's on a rock.